virtual meetings. I'm going to read the motion if somebody would move and then somebody else second for me. Pursuant to Governor Lee's executive order number 78 regarding electronic meetings, I make a motion that this committee meeting agenda constitutes essential business of the Metropolitan Council and that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. Can I get somebody to
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll do roll by, we'll vote on this and I'll take roll to see that we've got a quorum. Council Member Sledge.
Sorry, Chair, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. I am here and vote aye. Councilmember Hall. I think I heard Councilmember Hancock.
Yes, he did. Present.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnston. Councilmember Pulley.
Aye.
Councilmember Roberts. Councilmember Swope. Councilmember Withers, I think I saw.
Aye.
Thank you. And Councilmember Young. All right, so that's 5 ayes. So the motion carries, and we have a quorum. Before we get into, we have 2 bills, and before we get into that, I believe we have some department reports. Let me start with the Farmers Market Committee, and let me see if Mr. Kaiser is on. Director Tasha Kennard has taken a position elsewhere and has left the farmers market, the leadership of the farmers market, and left it in the hands of Mr. Charles Kaiser, who I've communicated with briefly, and I feel good about his leadership as interim director right now. Mr. Kaiser, are you on? Anyway, he assured me he's excited about his leadership and working with this committee. So note that change in the leadership of the farmers market. Also, I believe Director Womack is on. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, I am.
Awesome. Thank you. Director Womack and I have been talking in recent weeks, and as council members know, we got a letter of intent related to the Speedway at the fairgrounds. And I know some of those emails have called for community input, and I know Director Womack has been working hard the last couple of weeks to put together a very thorough calendar and procedure for getting that input. And I'm gonna turn it over to you to share what you can at this point. I know that there's a fair board meeting coming up next week, and the calendar will be more finalized there, but if you could share some of the details with us, that'd be great.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate the opportunity to update you. It's been a while since I've been able to present to committee, and certainly I can update you on all things fairgrounds. But for sure, I wanted to address some of the public engagement. I know that, the Fair Board, myself, and I know you all as council members have received a ton of emails already expressing, opinions about the potential partnership with Bristol Motor Speedway. So currently we have had quite a few discussions with Bristol Motor Speedway in order to set up some sort of calendar or approach to public engagement. And I can tell you from the Fair Board's perspective, we all are very supportive of having a very robust and thorough public engagement. We always have. And I think it's fair to say that we will not sacrifice quality in order to hit, certain deadlines. It's important to Bristol, it's important to us, it's important to the community that everyone has an opportunity to have their voice heard. So we've kind of set it up you can kind of think of it in concentric circles. The neighborhood groups that are more immediately surrounding the fairgrounds presumably are going to have different concerns, different questions about this partnership than maybe someone who is 2 to 3 miles from the fairgrounds, or maybe someone in a different district. So how we're approaching at least the early stages of public engagement is to identify those groups that are within kind of the District 17 and surrounding districts of the fairgrounds who would be most impacted by this proposed change to the fairgrounds. And I want to thank Councilman Sledge for his assistance in identifying those groups. These are groups that we anticipate having multiple contacts with, certainly going in and listening first, and then coming back, absorbing all of that, getting to work, answering the questions, and then providing a feedback mechanism by which we can respond to those questions, and so that people are given the answers that they're searching for. We have the next ring of engagement, which again is a little bit further out. We'll be contacting those individuals. I'll give you an example. Maybe I've reached out to the city of Berry Hill, for instance, to talk to the city manager to see what, concerns or questions they may have. And then again, have a feedback mechanism back to that. And then of course, we've got an outer ring whose issues or concerns may even be a little bit different. And we've identified those maybe businesses, universities. As you know, we are very close to Belmont and Trevecca and to Vanderbilt. So we want to make sure that we have contact with them as well. That certainly isn't all inclusive, but it does give you an example of some of the businesses that we're looking to reach out to as well. By all means, we are looking to have public meetings along with Fair Board members. Councilman Cash and I have talked about potentially having a joint meeting between this council committee and the Fair Board in the future, so that you all can hear what we're hearing. Again, those dates are going to be discussed in more detail on Tuesday's Fair Board meeting. So I don't want to jump the gun there, because we're going to have, I'm sure a very detailed conversation at the Fair Board meeting about, the overall calendar, making sure again that we've got ample time. There's also an evaluation period built in there too, to make sure that, do we need to add more touches along the way to make sure that, again, everyone gets a voice and a chance to speak. We are a little bit, we're kind of planning an in-person. It is assumed that maybe the virtual meeting rule may be changed by May. And so we're also considering how we can do an in-person, but yet provide people an opportunity for a virtual participation in the event that they are unable to attend such maybe a large gathering in person. So we're looking at those, kind of working out those obstacles as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all your work, and please share with Fair Board members that we appreciate that spirit of engagement, and not only spirit, but the hard work of reaching out and making those touches, as you say. Are there committee members? Do you have any questions for Director Womack? All right. Thank you very much. Yes.
Yes, this is Pulley. Did you see the comment from Councilmember Roberts? She's trying to get on. Looks like she's an attendee.
Oh.
It's you to unmute her.
If somebody from IT, is she in as a,
Looks like she's in.
here as an attendee? If somebody from IT could move her from attendee to participant.
And it looks like we might have a couple more council members. We've got Councilman Swope and
Okay.
Council Lady Benedict. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Thank you, Director Womack. I don't see that there are any questions for you at this time, but appreciate the hard work, and we'll keep talking going forward.
Absolutely. Thank you. And if you could just indulge me for a second, I do also want to thank Councilmember Sledge for all his support in getting a volunteer cleanup. We sustained a lot of damage and debris from the storms. And with his help, we have are expecting quite a few people, volunteers, both from Nashville SC, the community, and the roadie support group tomorrow. Hands on Nashville, I believe, is also going to participate. So I just want to thank him so much here in public for helping to organize that cleanup, because it is desperately needed.
Thank you, Director, and thank you, Councilman Sledge. All right, thank you very much. I see, let's see, is there anyone from Codes on? I think I saw Emily Lamb. Ms. Lamb, do you have anything you want to share with the committee?
Hi, Councilmember Cash. I don't have anything to share with the committee. I'm here to answer questions about any of the legislation that's up that affects codes, but don't have anything other than that.
Okay, great, thank you. Let's move on to the agenda then. We have two bills. The first bill is BL 2021-680, sponsored by HURT. It amends section 16.04.200 of the Metro Code to require fence crossbeams and bracing to face the interior of the property. It is on second reading. Is Councilmember Hurt with us? She one that was trying to get in? Councilmember Hurt, are you there? Sorry, who's our staff member? Hannah?
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Oh, there you are. Awesome.
I'm trying to run between Public Works and this
I understand.
meeting. But yes, this resolution basically speaks for itself. And I think that with the things that we have going on now, I was looking at the NCAA meeting. I mean, the NCAA Final Four and the finals, and they've got on the floors equality, a lot of words speaking to people having the right for us to be moving this country to a place where people have the right to speak and for there to be equality. And I just think that it's sad that we are still here in 2021 fighting these kinds of things. And for people to be able to show solidarity and a quiet protest for things that they believe in, I think is an abomination for us to prevent them from being able to do so. So I am asking for support of this legislation because I think it is the first right of amendment to freedom of speech, whether it is verbal or by some other means.
Okay. I think I neglected to actually put it before us. Could I, Vice Chair Hancock, could you move the 2021-680?
Yes, I'd like to move 2021-680, please, Chair.
Thank you. And can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Is Councilmember Hurt talking about the same?
Yeah, that was my next question. Councilmember Hurt, this is a bill about requiring fence cross beams and
I'm sorry. I had to. I apologize.
No worries. To face the
fencing.
interior of the property.
Yes. So, in my community, we have a lot of homes that have fences up. And I've had people there, I've seen where the inside or the interior of the fence has been placed on the outside. And it's aesthetically displeasing, and it's also not friendly for our neighbors. And I have seen that, and I particularly felt like the only way, and I have a friend who actually wanted to go to court about the situation, and they were told that there was not a policy or any type of legislation that says that a person has to make sure that the interior of the fencing is on the inside facing their home and not the outside home. So I just decided that I would submit the legislation to do so.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm assuming this applies to new fencing, or?
Yes, it is to new fencing. Yes,
Okay.
not any existing.
People aren't going to have to go back and redo fences that they already have.
No.
All right. And Ms. Lamb, I'm assuming that this is something that gets reviewed. I know we had some legislation last year about getting fence approvals.
So as it stands now, permits are not required for fences. There has been legislation introduced in the past, as you alluded to require permits for fencing, but that did not pass. I'm not sure how far along it went, but it didn't get any traction. It's actually been introduced several times and has not passed. So as we sit here today, there is no requirement for a permit to put up a fence. So basically, what would happen with this is, we would not have a way to catch them on the front end. Anybody can put a fence up. It would be similar to if someone's fence is too high, or if it's built out of a prohibited material, we catch those on the back end when we get complaints about it. So if someone, the onus is on the neighbors to complain basically to codes about the violation, we would then send an inspector out. If there is a violation of any of the regulations, we would send an abate notice, and they could come into compliance. They could either go to environmental court and try their case in environmental court, or they could file an appeal to the BZA and request a variance. And if the BZA allows that variance, then the fence could stay.
Gotcha. And I wonder if there's any sort of mechanism to let fencing companies know of this change, I guess. Just thinking out loud, I guess.
I think we could probably put it on our website.
Okay.
We could certainly, if someone does, we do get questions from time to time about, is this permit required? Is that permit required? And certainly we could advise people as we're asked. And I could be happy to brainstorm, but other than putting it on our website, we don't have like a listserv for fencing companies or anything like that.
I gotcha.
Well, this is really not about the permit, but just about the placement of the fencing to make sure that the interior of it is facing the home of the person. And as far as my friend is concerned, that's exactly what happened. Is that they did put up the fence. It was in violation. She got a lawyer. I think they went to court, and the neighbor had to replace the fence or bring it down because it was too high. And what happens is that the fencing company is not going to tell you that, because they make more money, if they have to go back and change it. And that is, unless you have some fencing companies that may, or people that you have do that don't really know what they're doing, that may do it. But in this particular case, the fencing company was aware of it, but because the person indicated that they wanted it, they just did what they were hired to do.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilmember Pulley.
Thank you, Chair. I think Ms. Lamb is gotten most of my questions. I might ask for some clarity here. So it sounds to me like there's really not a mechanism to notify people of this change. I do remember Councilmember Murphy running a bill maybe about a year ago in an attempt to get permits, and that was, I believe, deferred indefinitely. So did I hear you correctly, Ms. Lamb, that there is no means by which neighbors are notified of this provision should it pass?
Yes, Councilmember, you did. It would basically, I mean, again, we could put it on our website. The council members could certainly include it in newsletters. But in terms of notifying neighbors, it would be like any other legislation. You know, informed constituents would, know what laws are passed. They may pay attention. They may tune in to the council meetings. They may pay attention to the council agendas. But there's not a mechanism by which we would proactively advise neighbors necessarily.
And okay, thank you for that. My next door neighbor just put up a fence like that in a pretty nice house, and it was very tastefully done, sort of the same way inside out. None of the neighbors in our area had any issues with it. I'm just, I'm a little bit conflicted about moving forward, making something like that illegal. I wonder if it's worth any type of community engagement to find out what other neighborhoods really think about something like this. So I'll just leave my comments and I'll let other council members speak.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilmember Withers.
Thank you so much, Chair. I think maybe if nothing else, one benefit, and maybe we could confirm this with code staff, but we do have a pretty handy record on the Hub Nashville website about how to build a fence in Nashville. And so maybe if this legislation goes through, or maybe even just for the sake of it, it might be a good thing to do. But certainly if this legislation goes through, that this change could be added to that very useful Hub Nashville link on how to build a fence in Nashville, so that people are at least aware of that requirement. So that may have some benefit there. And
that makes sense.
Certainly, I'm sorry to interrupt, Councilman Withers. We can certainly work on that. And there's also part of the codes' website is an entire page devoted to fences. So we would certainly update that as well.
And one thing I might add as well is that I think if a fence were to be framed and then the boards are placed on one side versus the other, sometimes when people build a fence and it has to be shortened or moved, that can be a hardship. It would seem to be the case that in this case, if a complaint were filed, that a contractor, you can pull the boards off and just nail them to the other side of the framing. So I think that it's some kind of an inconvenience, but maybe not as much of a hardship as people who have constructed a fence that has to be physically moved or reconfigured entirely. So I support this legislation and appreciate Councilmember Hurt bringing it, even though my own fence on my house faces the wrong way.
Thank you, Councilmember. I'm not seeing any more hands. So I get we are ready to vote. Let me just see. Let me see if some folks have come in. So I'm gonna do a roll call vote again, just to see who has joined us, so I get the right numbers. Councilmember Sledge. So I'm sorry. We are voting. So give me an aye or a nay or abstain on this bill on second reading. All right, Councilmember Sledge.
Aye.
Thank you. I vote aye. Councilmember Hall, have you joined us? Vice Chair Hancock.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnston. Councilmember Pulley.
Aye.
Councilmember Roberts. Did Councilmember Roberts make it?
Aye. Yes. I did.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Swope.
Yes.
Councilmember Withers.
Aye.
And Councilmember Young? All right, so I'm getting that we recommend the bill 7-0. All right, thank you very much. Our next,
Thank you all.
thank you, Councilmember. All right, bill on third reading. This is BL 2025-35 by Allen, Welch, O'Connell, Murphy, Bradford, Hancock, and Stiles. It amends the Metro Code of Laws regarding the design and operation of outdoor electrical lighting to achieve light pollution reduction consistent with International Dark Sky Association guidelines. And I do have a letter to amend and approve, and also a proposed substitute. So is Councilmember Allen with us? Actually, let me get the, Vice Chair Hancock, could you move the bill?
Yes, I'd like to move the bill on light pollution, please.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, Councilmember Allen, are you with us?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, thanks. So is there an amendment and a substitute?
I am not aware of a substitute.
Okay, I got on my notes, it says proposed substitute.
This is Hannah's Island. It's just an amendment. Sorry. I think
Okay.
your agenda said substitute. It should just be amendment.
Okay. All right. So do you want to, Councilmember Allen, you have the floor.
Yes, I would like for someone to move the substitute if I could make that request, please.
So moved.
So
Second.
there is, wait, I'm confused. There is a substitute?
There is a substitute.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right.
I'm
so
sorry,
it's been moved.
there is an amendment, and I would like for someone to move the amendment, please.
I move the amendment.
Thank you.
Second.
All right. Thank you. All right, Councilmember Allen.
As for that conclusion. So we are working with the substitute bill to start with, and we are adding an amendment that does 4 or 5 things. First of all, it makes some technical changes to make this consistent with International Energy Code and the International Looming Society recommendations. It refines some exemptions around downtown municipal auditoriums and the airport. This moves downtown and the major corridors into higher lighting zones. This adds clarifications for requirements around security cameras, and it includes Councilmember Henderson's suggestion about playing fields having some guidelines in residential areas. So that's the amendment. I can go back and talk about what the actual bill is if people don't know enough about it to vote on the amendment, or I'll do that when we get to the bill as amended.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and I think move the amendment if that's all right with everybody. Any questions or comments on the amendment? I'm not seeing any hands. All right, so let's vote on the amendment. Actually, I think I've got a pretty good sense of the attendance now. So if if you are opposed to the amendment, if you could give me a hand raised in the to the side. All right, and is there anyone who wants to abstain? All right, so my calculation is that we have approved the amendment 7-0. Correct me if I'm wrong, but voting aye on the amendment: Sledge, Cash, Hancock, Pulley, Roberts, Swope, and Withers, unless somebody else has joined us. All right, thank you. All right, so the amendment passes.
Am I recognized again, Councilmember?
You were recognized again to go back to the bill as amended.
Thank you. So now I'd like to speak to the substitute bill as amended. And simply what this does is provides guidelines that are consistent with the mayor's sustainability committee that called for energy conservation and being good stewards of the environment, which this bill does. It simply says to use the amount of light you need when you need it, and to direct it where you need it, and dim it if you're not using it, or turn it off. This has been based on 3 years of work with area experts and codes department, planning department, and a lot of feedback has gone into the substitute that we passed at the last one. So this has been informed by a lot of more and more people as more and more people begin to pay attention to it. The details are that this applies to new construction only through the parking lots and exterior lighting. This is only about exterior lighting on new construction. It sets a general lighting level, but then allows for significant flexibility by referring to the International Dark Skies Association Model Lighting Ordinance. And that has a whole lot of very technical details, but gives the urban areas the flexibility to have much higher lighting levels than the rural areas do, and that's appropriate. But this gives us a way to bring back the night sky, which is, great if you want to look at stars. It's also great for human health and for nocturnal and migrating animals. So there are lots of reasons to do this. The initial bill has changed, as I said, just with input from stakeholders. I've tried to address concerns about how we deal with downtown. Much of downtown is now exempt. And the major corridors are in the highest lighting levels so that they've got a lot of flexibility. There's concern about safety. There is plenty of evidence that shows that good lighting design is design that doesn't cause a lot of glare and blind you, but just enables you to see what you need to see. So that fits within this category. The process that this will work through is what codes suggested, and Emily Lamb can answer questions about that. They will oversee this through their regular plan inspection process. So new construction, when they go to Metro Codes to show them their plans for just the general checkoff list for their electrical design, there's one more box to check now that says we complied with the dark skies compliance. So it should not slow anything down or require extra personnel or anything. And that's the basics of it. I'm happy to answer any other questions if council members have any.
Thank you. I appreciate all your hard work on this. It seems very thoroughly, stakeholders seem very thoroughly reached out to. And I've gotten lots of positive feedback and expect and support. Councilmember Swope.
Thank you, Chair. One question for the sponsor on this, and this may have been asked and or answered at a previous time during one of our discussions that I unfortunately might have missed. But my wife likes to keep security lights on our house at night. What does this do to that predilection?
Great question. So first of all, this is largely for commercial only, and it's also only for new construction. So your existing lights are not affected whatsoever. And if they are shining on your property and not into your neighbor's bedroom window, there is no violation of the dark skies ordinance. It simply says shine your lights, on your own property and not across the property lines. And again, for residential, it doesn't set any lighting levels. So it should not affect your security lights or any house's security lights unless they're improperly aimed. And this gives us a mechanism for your neighbors to say, hopefully in a friendly fashion, could you re-aim those so that they are keeping your yard safe, but I can sleep at night? Does that answer your question?
I appreciate that answer. Thank you for the clarification.
Sure thing.
Thank you, council member. And I'm not seeing any more hands. Anyone else? Questions or comments? All right, we're ready for a vote on 2025-35. All those in favor say aye.
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 And anyone opposed, if you could identify, if anyone opposed? Any abstentions? All right, I believe we still have that voted aye are Sledge, Cash, Hancock, Pulley, Roberts, Swope, and Withers. Is that correct, or has anyone else joined us? All right. We approve 2025-35, 7-0. All right, thank you very much. Anyone else on the committee have anything that they'd like to share before we dismiss? All right, thank you very much. See you in a little bit.